All right, let's talk about the dictator to the north, Justin Trudeau. We haven't done a Justin Trudeau story in a while.
Right. So we're gonna. The question is today, let me take that again. The question is, will Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau actually be held accountable for taking away civil liberties of Canadian citizens earlier this year during the trucker convoy? He is set to testify in a few days, and how and why he enacted the Emergencies Act during these protests.
Oh, this will be good. Will we get any information? I mean,
my sense of it is he's going to be pretty, practiced and have a lot of standard lines, things we've already seen.
Right.
But the question is, will there be anyone there to push him? Will there be any documents? We were promised documents. So let me just give you a little background. The trucker convoy was a gathering to protest COVID vaccine mandates that would cost people their jobs if they did not take the COVID vaccine. It was not anti-vaccine. It was anti-vaccine mandate, particularly for people who had worked during the pandemic, and society owed a great debt of gratitude, and those people did not deserve walking papers for making a choice about their own health. The protesters came to Ottawa to speak with politicians, particularly Prime Minister Trudeau, but they never got that chance. He refused to meet with them. Instead, he called them extremists and racists. Here is a reminder of what he told Canadians, that anyone who questions the vaccine is an extremist and a racist. He's speaking French in this interview, and there are subtitles.
Oui, on va s'en sortir de cette pandémie par la vaccination. Puis on en connaît tous des gens qui sont en train d'hésiter un petit peu. On va continuer d'essayer de les convaincre. Mais il y a aussi des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination.
Qui sont extrémistes.
Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. C'est un petit groupe, mais qui prend de la place. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on tolère ces gens-là ou est-ce qu'on dit, voyons, la plupart des gens, presque 80% des Québécois ont fait ce qu'il fallait faire, se sont fait vacciner, on veut revenir aux choses qu'on aime faire. C'est pas ces gens-là qui vont nous bloquer maintenant.
Right. It was
racist
at the time. Yes. And misogynist. I don't know what gender has anything to do with. And he was saying at the time you could sort of still get away with saying you vaccinate yourself for other people, right? And we all can't get back to our lives if we don't all get vaccinated. We now know that there is no science behind that the vaccine has nothing to do with the spread. At the time, the protests grew and government action against them too. The money that they raised on GoFundMe was taken from them. They were threatened with arrests. Many of them were arrested. They had their cell phones tracked. Many of them were unbanked. They could not access their own bank accounts and credit cards because of this Emergency Act, which declared these protests illegal and made it illegal to participate in any way, right? Including, funding, websites, whatever.
Yeah, GoFundMe. There was PayPal was shutting them down.
Yes. All because of the science, right? We now know, though, from a separate lawsuit in Canada that the government didn't have science before the rules. In fact, it was the other way around. In discovery for a civil suit, emails came out from a government authority that said they were basically asking one another, like, what's some science we can use when we communicate these rules? So the rules came before the science, not the other way around. We know this now.
Right.
When Prime Minister Trudeau enacted the Federal Emergencies Act in Canada, it was the first time it had ever been used in the country's history. As soon as it was enacted, it declared this protest illegal and made any participation at any level illegal. You may recall this was unpopular. It earned him this reception in European Parliament from parliamentary member Christine Anderson.
Based on Article 195, out that it would have been more appropriate for Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, to address this House according to Article 144, an article which was specifically designed to debate violations of human rights, democracy and the rule of law, which is clearly the case with Mr. Trudeau. Then again, a Prime Minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy should not be allowed to speak in this House at all. Mr. Trudeau, you are a disgrace for any democracy. Please spare us your presence. Thank you.
Please spare us your presence.
All right. So again, the Emergencies Act, it gave the Trudeau government the right to increase use of force and threat to protesters. Here is the Prime Minister when he announced it. And I forgot that he wore his hair kind of like Molly Ringwald here. So that's a little bit distracting because he doesn't wear it like this anymore. So try and get past it.
Really quick before you go to that, to add to that, like I believe it also gave them the ability, because they got into a lot of people's bank accounts during the trucker protests, and then there have been people that have, even here, that have said that they've gone after their money, their funds for the campaigns that went on through like GoFundMe or whatever. So it gave him that kind of power as well, I guess, to look into people's bank accounts. I don't know if that
of course,
part of that, but
yeah. And so one of the questions is, will they, in this inquiry, then talk about how it was implemented with these online accounts and the account services? But let's hear how he justified it at the time.
Here's how the measures we're taking today will help get the situation under control. The police will be given more tools to restore order in places where public assemblies can constitute illegal and dangerous activities, such as blockades and occupations, as seen in Ottawa, the Ambassador Bridge, and elsewhere. These tools include strengthening their ability to impose fines or imprisonment. The government will designate, secure, and protect places and infrastructure that are critical to our economy and people's jobs, including border crossings and airports. We cannot and will not allow illegal and dangerous activities to continue. The Emergencies Act will also allow the government to make sure essential services are rendered, for example, in order to tow vehicles blocking roads. In addition, financial institutions will be authorized or directed to render essential services to help address the situation, including by regulating and prohibiting the use of property to fund or support illegal blockades.
The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau there confirmed.
We'll go ahead and stop it there. He was talking about whatever property we could take, right? To make sure that this stops. We're not getting this inquiry because of political motivation. We're getting it because that's the law in Canada. The law mandates that an inquiry take place within 60 days of the declaration being revoked, although it's very late because the declaration was revoked on February 23rd. We are well past 60 days from that. And the inquiry was delayed even further because the judge who was running it had to have surgery unexpectedly. So hearings are supposed to begin October 13th. There is a separate parliamentary inquiry going on. Maybe we'll see something like that. So this one is not necessarily like one of these congressional hearings where we get senators who grandstand and be like, Mr. Zuckerberg, you do these bad things and I'm saying that to you, right? There may not be this. It seems a little bit more like this is just the law, but Canadian Parliament may separately have that too. We will see. We may get some interesting tidbits because according to the commission that is running it, these are the types of things they are going to show us, a variety of witnesses, including protesters. So they will interview some of them. We'll see. Oh,
so people will be able to get up there and say, hey, my life was destroyed as a result of this. You destroyed my business. You destroyed my family. You took away my truck. You took away, you froze my bank account. Right. I hope we get to hear from some of these people.
We will see. Yes, I'm curious to how these participants were vetted. Also representatives of all levels of law enforcement, officials from federal, provincial, and municipal governments, and individuals, businesses, and organizations impacted by the protesters, and also ministers and other officials. So, I want to know, what was the conversation they had with Venmo? What was the right that they had to tell Venmo or PayPal or GoFundMe, you have to revoke this monies, don't give it back to them?
So we'll get to see that.
I hope. I'm asking, and because the public was able to submit documentation maybe my bank account was taken or what have you. I don't know. I want to know, again, these internal conversations, like we can't meet with them because we have to continue this because, right? Or was there really nothing that the prime minister could have said about vaccine mandates, even at this point when we knew that the vaccine did not prevent the spread of COVID? And so at that point, did he just not want to admit that in order to not impact his national vaccination program? And, again, and then this is an interesting question. Was there conversation about why he would not meet with these people particularly? Because if you look at June of 2020, here's a video of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau meeting with Black Lives Matter protests. This is June of 2020, when the narrative was that that all social distancing was necessary, right? At this time, kids were still in virtual school. Many kids didn't go back to school. Why was this allowed?
Because he had to go out and do a woke little demonstration.
But he could not come out and talk with protesters about their legitimate concern about their vaccination status and their health, right?
Right.
And so what's the science that said it's okay to go out into this gathering in close-knit groups of people and take a knee because I have a mask, right? But I cannot go out and meet with these people 7 months later because, right? The media is kind of covering this as if, oh, wow, he's courageous. He's going to show up and answer for it. But I think it'd be kind of ballsier of him not to, because this inquiry is a federal requirement. He knew it when he enacted it because it's written into the law. So we will see. We'll see what we see.